So where we left this is we were reading data in. We were able to go to the file. We have our file format. We even got around the space inside of the names inside of there. We're using the trim to clean up before and after. We're getting our numbers and we're getting text and all that. All that's coming in. It doesn't necessarily mean this data is still valid. We still should be doing validation throughout all of this stuff. And we still should be wrapping this data within an object. So if you remember, I can go back, I can open up the GUI demo we had before. We had a person object inside of here. So I'm going to copy the person object here. I'm going to paste that back over here into the source code. Refactored copy, so that'll fix the package name inside of there. So the best thing I can do here then is instead of, or after I do each of these, I can say person P is equal to new person. P dot set first is first. P dot set last is last. P dot set age is age. And then just real quickly print P. So after I take these out, I want to go and wrap them in an object. That's one small thing. And you can see first, last, name, age. I'll just put it nice into my object. But what if I do something that's like this? Tony, no, let's do Madonna. What is she now? She's maybe 50. I don't know. Let's give it a shot. I run this. Oh, boo. That just stinks. No such element inside of here. When I go to next token, there is no third element inside of here. Stinky, stinky, stinky. It's because I have no validation going on here. I need to accommodate for and prepare for bad data. Now, there's two ways I need to do it. There's the field level and then the row level entirely inside here. And I can decide how I want these things to work. So at the field level, I need to make sure there is a first name, a last name, and an age. At the entire row level, I need to make sure all of those things are provided. So this comes down to the same type of validation you did in the GUI, if you did that stuff there. I'm not going to require you to do that all here. I just want you to be aware of it and see it. So once I've gotten these guys, I should do things like if first dot length is equal to null as 0. I don't know what to do right there. We'll come back to that in a second. If last dot length is equal to 0. All right. Age, maybe there's an age boundary then. If age is less than or equal to 0, let's just say less than 1. Okay, so there'll be some rules inside there. So what do I do if it's bad? Well, this is the question that comes up. When I parse the line, what do I want the results of my parsing line to be? Now, probably what I want to do is return a person object. So the first thing I'm going to upgrade here is instead of returning void, I want to return person. So I'm taking a line and I'm turning it into a person object. This is going to work well here. If it's invalid, what do I want to have happen? One of the options is I can return null. Just return an empty object. Another option is I can throw an exception. Another option is I can return an empty person. I can return an empty person with error messages inside of it, saying, hey, I couldn't do something with this person. I did that. It's all design choices. And I'm not going to dictate one to you. I just want to plant a few seeds in your head. The most common to deal with is either returning an empty object or throwing an exception. Since we've done so little with exceptions, what I kind of want to do is a little bit of each. So I can just say return null. Return null. Return null. I'm going to show you dealing with each of these guys, and then here I just got to return P. All right, so my application now has to choose what it's going to do with this. Again, notice here, I'm not deciding what I'm going to do if I get a bad row. I'm just deciding how I'm going to indicate to you I got a bad row. So up above in my solution here, as I'm parsing a line, I can now get a person out of this. I can say if P is equal to null, then I'm going to do something. What am I going to do? I could say system.out.println, this row was bad. Okay, so if I get an empty line, then it comes in. So that allows me to do something like comma, comma, -3. So, oh gosh, no such element exception. Which line was this? I've got nothing inside of there. Oh yeah, here, that's because I stopped printing it out. Let me fix my code real 1 second. Else system dot out dot println P. I just want to prove my point inside of here. So I'm printing Tony, Brock, Donald, and then I get a Baron von Trapp. Then I get an exception inside of here, and that's what's happening. Some threading is turning on. No such element exception. Here, let me come back to space, space, space. There you go. Put a space inside of there. Maybe that'll be, yeah. This row was bad. So you can see now it gets a row that's bad. Then the last one is an exception. So I've got a lot of bad things going on here. I've got a bad line inside, but I'm dealing with one bad line, and the other one's exception. So the other thing I can do inside of here is P is equal to null here, and then I can do a try. P is equal to parse line, catch, exception E. Oops, sorry, I forgot that in there. That's why it was giving me issues. E.print stack trace. There you go. So if anything goes wrong with parsing the line, I get an exception. P was already null because I set it up here, and so it's going to tell me I got a bad line as opposed to printing it out. And then go down the next line. So let's go run our code here. Oh, yep. Oh yeah. So I'm still printing out the stack trace there. But you can see it tells me the row is bad. The blanks, the row is bad because it didn't have enough. All right, so this is a little bit more of a robust approach to it. You can see the types of validation I did for GUI inputs is also the types of validation I should be doing for file inputs, making sure that things are there, making sure they have the right data inside of them. I can't go back and ask the user, so I have to come up with a different approach to that. I can't just say, hey, user, this is bad, enter it again. I've got to decide, does that kill my file, or does that just simply say I have a bad row and go from there? I'm not quite done yet, but now I'm inching closer. I now have a component that will go through and read a line at a time, turn it into a person. I have a helper inside of there. And then I can have a component that will read a whole file and turn it into a person one line at a time. How do I get that into my application? Well, that's what comes up next.